Okay. George, you ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is the Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 Monroe Planning Board regular meeting. Noreen, would you please do the roll call?
Bonnie Franson.
Here.
Jeff Manson.
Here.
Bob Garstack.
Here.
Lou Rivera.
Here.
Dylan Penn.
Present.
Thank you.
With that, I'll point at the fire exits. In the event of an emergency, there are two behind the audience. There is another to my left, which goes out the main door, and then right, which is with that, let's all please stand for the pledge. Right. First item on the agenda is Henry Farm. Hello.
Pretty at the table.
Wow, that was quick.
Good evening. Ooh, it works tonight.
Good to see you, John.
Hello.
I think we had Mr. Barone here. Not joining us.
No.
Okay. We'll say in the meantime, I believe Ashley and our attorney and Mr. Barone had communicated. She had written him a letter, and there was additional communication today, which Matt can go over. But why don't you start in terms of anything you'd like to address to us?
Do you want to go ahead? Well, we didn't submit any new information with this past, since we met you last. Vince provided new plans, and he can address that, but from the planning documents and the consistency analysis, we didn't provide any updates to address the October comments, so that's why we're here tonight.
Yeah, I guess the real issue regarding the consistency analysis is addressing the water testing for quality. We had always agreed to do the retesting. If you look back at the record, I always stated that we would do whatever the Department of Health required of us in the testing procedure as part of the approval process. It is our opinion that the original testing is sufficient to show that the stipulated project is within and consistent with the prior SECRA analysis and findings. We believe that just adding an appendix of quality testing at the end of the consistency analysis doesn't benefit the SECRA document. The concerns about contamination, again, should any testing come up with contamination, it's going to be removed as part of the DEC or part of the Department of Health review and approval. Even the Department of Health concurs that we have a community water supply, we have a federal ID number for that, and the DEC water taking permit is still valid for that project. We've had a number of issues with this project. This is a special project. It's been before the courts, we got a stipulation from the courts, and it was to be reviewed a certain way. The consultants for the town were not instructed properly. You could see by their reviews that a lot of their reviews were looking at this project as a new project and a new review on SECRA. That sums up where we stand on this project. And we would like the board to finalize the consistency statement and schedule a public hearing for the project. Yes.
No, not this time.
I will turn to Matt, our engineer. I do have his memo up on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Just jumping to comment two, we'd previously provided some comments on October 9th regarding the analysis. The first bullet point indicates that the summary of the revised stormwater analysis, in other words, the discharge rates associated with the revised SWIP. That summary's been provided. It was an attachment, I believe, to the correspondence that was submitted, and the applicants indicated that'll be incorporated into the consistency analysis. So that satisfies my comment or concern with that issue. Second bullet point deals with the alignment of the project entrance and the Camp Monroe Road. Orange County DPW indicated that they would like to see that addressed in some manner as the project progresses. The applicants indicated that as part of the DPW permitting process, they will work with DPW on that and incorporate any required work with that. That appears to me to be consistent with the statement that was included regarding traffic mitigation in the previous 2004 finding statement, which discusses the applicant obtaining the permit from DPW and complying with any requirements or work associated with that. So I believe that would be consistent. The third bullet point deals with the fire protection flows from the on-site water system. The analysis that was provided in the consistency analysis indicates that they provide the minimum fire flows required. The fire department reviewed that and said their only concern may be that if they had to do a really long hose length, they might need a booster with that. So my suggestion was to review the 8-inch main that connects the storage tank to the looped water system. The applicants agreed to do that as they proceed with the design and permitting of the system with DOH. So I believe for the purposes of SECRA, they've demonstrated they meet the minimum flow required. However, they've agreed to look at possibility of during the permitting. They can provide that analysis, and then we can look at the cost associated with upsizing the main maybe from 8 to 10 inches and see if it's beneficial.
So there was, I guess, a communication, a letter that went from Ashley, our attorney, to Tad Barone. And she gave, it was fairly lengthy and got into the SECRA consistency review because I believe Mr. Barone was asserting that this is almost a brand new review. So she explained to him from her perspective what the stipulation indicated, what was required for consistency review, and how, from her perspective, that's how we're proceeding. In addition, today, I believe, I don't know if Tad and Ashley spoke, but in the email, there was a question about water testing, and her response was the water testing is part of the SECRA process, and that the applicant should coordinate with Frank Getchell. So that's the last we've heard from our consultant. I don't know if, Matt, there's anything you want to add to that?
That was the latest I'd heard from Ashley or Frank on that. So I don't know if that's been pursued any further or resolved.
Right. So from our consultant, from our attorney's perspective with regard to the settlement and the consistency review and the agreement, she's indicating that the water quality has to be done at this time. I'm not certain if that means the pump test too, but I guess normally those are done at the same time, right?
Correct.
Right. So I don't know how the planning board feels, whether we should diverge from that opinion or not. I think you've requested to do that, but at a different time, not attached to seeker, and our attorney is saying that's part of seeker. So that's where we are at this point. And we didn't receive anything from Mr. Barone that would provide us his alternative view.
Did you receive Mr. Barone's letter to Ashley, or?
I believe we did. I believe we did, because I believe that is what Ashley was responding to.
Yeah, and I don't know the date of that letter, but that was kind of our formal response from Tad to Ashley about the process and
Right.
how the water testing fits into that.
Right. So she sent him this, this was November 11th, and it was addressed to Tad.
Okay.
And she runs through the consistency analysis, the agreement, the stipulation.
Sounds like Tad's letter was dated October 17.
So this would have been a response to Tad's letter. So she indicates, clearly stated that further well testing may be necessary, specifically Weston and Sampson's memorandum of March 7, 2023, stated that its proposed scope of work includes the following: assess the adequacy of the previously provided well testing and evaluations relative to hydrogeologic-based acceptable practices under the current requirements for public community water supplies regarding the capacity, yield, and potability as established by the New York State DEC. And then she underlines, in the event that our assessment indicates that the previously completed pumping test and/or hydrogeologic evaluations do not allow for an adequate assessment of hydrogeologic and water quality impacts and/or do not meet current requirements as specified by either the DEC, DOH, or Orange County DOH, or the town, we will notify the planning board of additional efforts that we recommend be taken to address the corresponding deficiencies. And she says the well testing was conducted over 20 years ago. Applicant's prior Department of Health permitting has been declared null and void. There have been changes in the applicable testing parameters, as explained in Weston and Sampson's August 13th memo. Off-site land use changes occurring since 2005, along with the possible addition of nearby private water supply wells, domestic wastewater disposal facilities. Wells 1 and 2 should be adequately addressed by the testing and data evaluations being proposed by the applicant and relayed to the town as part of the development approval process. At the bottom, she says, this addresses the concerns noted in October 17th. I believe that's the letter that you're referring to from Mr. Barone, correct?
Yes.
So this letter was written the 11th, and again, just some email correspondence that came through today that Matt was CC'd on. The question was raised again, and she's indicated well testing, pump testing is part of seeker. So does anybody have any comments or thoughts about that? I mean, from my perspective,
I'd like to request the board be polled on scheduling a public hearing and finalizing the consistency statement.
well, decide what to poll. I will first poll whether the water quality testing and pump test has to be done as part of seeker.
Perfect.
Because that, if that has to be done, then you know we can't do the public
Correct.
hearing, right? So, do an informal poll. This isn't a vote, but just to get a sense of where the board stands on this. and I'll start first. I don't want to stray from what our attorney has recommended. This project has been subject to litigation. She has recommended and indicated that the water quality testing and reporting is part of the seeker process. This has been in front of us throughout the consistency analysis, and so I don't believe that we should go against that opinion. That's my feeling. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I agree.
Weston Sampson is the applicant's consultant, correct, on this?
No.
That's ours, okay.
Not much can be said. I mean, it's all written exactly what our attorney has recommended, and we're going to have to, as a board, well, myself, I'm definitely going to take her advice. It is part of secret, and it has to be done. It's been 20 years. Anything can happen in 20 years.
And I think in light that our consultant appropriate, I think it's appropriate.
Thank you. Dylan, do you want to weigh in on?
I'm aligned with our town attorney.
So, as you know, if we have to do that for seeker consistency, we can't issue the, I don't know that it's a neg deck or maybe a reaffirmation. It's a little unclear because the seeker was done so long ago. But that needs to be done prior to, I think we're close. That seems to be the one item. Sorry, that seems to be the one item that's outstanding, get us to a public hearing. I don't know that there's much left in the way of engineering review. I think a lot of that has occurred. So we're at this point, and I don't know that many will come out for the public hearing either, just because of where the location is, but we won't know until we get there.
Right.
But if the applicant, if you're all still of the opinion, you know, that you want it to go in a different direction, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you, but that's how the planning board feels at this time.
What we'd like to request the board schedule us for a public hearing for the wetlands permit, which I believe is supposed to be scheduled within 90 days of submission.
That's new to me, this request. I can't speak to it just because I haven't looked at it. We haven't been asked to do that. Normally, we would hold all of these public hearings concurrently. So we would do the wetland permit and the subdivision and whatever else we need, just to make it more efficient and not to have separate public hearings going and closing and opening. And I don't know that we would want to open the wetland permit part of it if we haven't finished seeker consistency. So I can ask, see if our attorney can advise us whether that's possible, but I wouldn't be able to respond. I wouldn't be able to answer yes or no at this point in time. I'm not adverse to it, but I need to just think about it because we're being requested right now. And we've sort of been marching along, doing this all as kind of a comprehensive process.
I am curious where you feel the benefit in taking care of that part of the public hearing would be separately.
I believe the town code says it should be scheduled within 90 days of submission. So we're just trying to follow the rules.
Okay.
Is there, do we have a formal wetland permit application?
You do,
Okay, before us.
yes.
I know we don't actually have a form. Yeah, but you may have submitted something that,
Correct.
okay. Well,
Map planner report.
okay, let me find out. I mean, well, board members, any other thoughts on this? No? We need to just speak to our attorney to see whether that's advised.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah. Okay.
Is Ashley staying on for
Well,
planning board
so
attorney, or are we
well,
getting someone new?
the planning board has, in the past, approved, decided upon the consultants that it will retain. That's been a function that the planning board's been able to do. I don't know if that's going to change, but that's been the normal practice for at least the over 6 years that I've been here. we select our own consultants. And we actually, after Ashley and Torre and Naughton dissolved, we wanted to keep Ashley on. So we did. As you may or may not know, she had a baby.
Right.
So, but she does want to continue on with us.
Okay, good.
In fact, that letter was probably written close to when she had the baby. So, yeah. I mean, we're satisfied with Ashley. I don't know that there's any reason to look anywhere else, but I don't know what's going to happen in the new year. So,
Okay.
but yeah, for now, we plan on, yes, continuing with Ashley.
Great. And it'll make things easier
I think
instead
it
of a
will.
transition.
Continuity for sure.
Right.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too. Thanks. See you later.
Are you here for Owen?
Yes.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is Owen Drive. And I will bring up comment letter. So there are two comment letters. One is regarding the SWIP, and the other is regarding just overall tech review. I did ask Matt to look into the stormwater element of this. I always feel like it's such a shame to have to put major basins in locations when we could be just preserving trees and not disturbing things, and I didn't know if there was the potential to maybe not do that, and so that's kind of separate. We talked about it today, and that might not be in his memo, but he'll touch upon that as well.
Matt and I did discuss that.
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
we will be re-looking at things.
Okay.
And addressing his concerns regarding the SWIP review
Okay.
on his next submission.
So for the board members, Matt and I just had a pre-meeting discussion about where things are. And in looking at the site plan, I looked at the layout, and what you have are the three homes up by the road, which you propose to kind of connect to Smith Farm. And below it are these major stormwater basins to capture the water, stormwater runoff. And it's always, for me, as much as we have to do that, they're different technologies. So I was wondering whether there was a different technology where we didn't have to cut down a whole bunch of trees and grade out a whole bunch of area to capture stormwater, but, I'll let Matt speak to the other alternative that you would come up with.
So with the Smith Farm project, the road that is being utilized to access these three lots was considered in a portion of that project as an emergency access. So what we were looking at was whether some of that road was previously considered as impervious area and therefore considered as part of the Smith Farms, and in which case this project would only need to look at increases associated with that. So we just went through that prior to the meeting, and that's something we'll be checking to make sure that we're not really oversizing the features that are needed here.
So the thought is that potentially, when Smith Farm was looked at, the road was accounted for in the drainage analysis.
A portion of it, correct.
Okay, so that might minimize what we need to do specifically for Owen. So if you look here, at the bottom, you have this Lot 2 and Lot 3. There's all this grading being done to accommodate, right, the stormwater basin. And in the best of all worlds, we'd like to limit that if possible. So we'll see what what occurs and what you find. All right, so let's go back to your tech memo.
Sure. The first comment there, I think with our previous discussions, the intent of the road to access the 3 lots is going to be owned and maintained by the HOA associated with Smith Farm. So looking at the tax parcel data, it appears that the Smith Farm Road is a separate parcel. So on the subdivision plan, I think it would be a good idea to indicate that this parcel will be consolidated with the existing Smith Road Farm parcel, so that we're not creating additional smaller lots, tax parcels that are only roads. And that would kind of clarify, I guess, ownership and maintenance of it. So I recommend we consider that.
That would be a consolidation. The road itself would become a strip of land that would get attached to Devitt.
I think that would probably be the way to handle it. Otherwise, we're creating another separate parcel that's just kind of floating there.
And we'll show that on the map to be filed with the county to create the 3 lots. We'll show
Sure.
that as like a lot line change with the adjacent road.
Yeah, that would be plan sheet 3 or whatever in your set there, the
Yep.
subdivision. Yep.
This parcel is the Owen Drive parcel, 20 Owen, that we're reviewing now. That right-of-way is on Owen Drive. In fact, this other piece that services the houses that I think you attempted to talk to and see if they would all agree to get access from this new road, they didn't agree, right? They declined.
Correct.
Right. So, and I guess there's a right-of-way in here, even though it doesn't show up as a public road?
And they all have easements, access easements across for their driveways.
Okay. And so, but this here is a parcel that's been created as part of the Smith Farm project. So the thought is that this piece that services the 3 homes will get attached to that adjoining road, possibly,
Yeah, I think that makes sense if the Smith Farms HOA is going to maintain those roads, make them the same parcel.
So my question is then, this piece in here that's serving those other homes, is it like a shared driveway? Is that the way it's, does the town doesn't go up here, the village doesn't go up here, do they? I think we've always,
They do for building permits. I know that last house is new construction, so they got a building permit. And the second one coming back in is planning on getting a building permit to rebuild. So the village would access that to those lots to do the inspections.
because I think that's what I'm trying to
I'm
figure out.
sorry, the town,
So these parcels up here are part of the town,
correct,
right? The village is here, so.
yes.
So one of the questions is the village and/or the town maintaining this one segment that goes to the 3?
No, that's
No.
private,
It is private?
correct.
Okay. So they're going to continue to have some kind of easement over the 20 Owen Drive
Yeah,
lot?
yes, yeah, we can't get rid of that.
Okay, and then, but a separate little parcel will be created to then attach to Smith Farm for the 3 new homes?
Correct,
Okay.
Private easement to access the lots in the back
will be part of that,
will continue.
correct,
This can't extinguish that easement.
correct.
Right, exactly. It's an emergency access road.
Correct.
So this part of the road was required as part of Smith Farm, way before we got involved in this. So, in fact, if I go to, I think I have the maps here.
Yeah, it's actually on the Smith Farm site
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah. In as much as this is on 20 Owen Drive. this segment that we see that's on Owen was part of the signed filed map, Smith Farm.
Yep.
And it indicates this is the emergency access easement to benefit the HOA, the town of Monroe, and the village of Monroe. So that's this whole piece in here, so that they would have a second way to access the development other than from Gilbert, right? So that's already there. That's already part of Smith Farm. And that was the point that we were discussing regarding the SWIP, that if that was already approved, did they consider it when they were doing their stormwater analyses? And if so, we may not have to put the basins in, but we'll see. Okay.
Yep.
So,
Okay. So the second comment pertains to snow storage around the emergency access gate. The Owen Drive side, there's a spot cleared and identified for that. If you could just clarify, coming in from the Devitt Road side, right in front of the gate, the driveway for Lot 1 pulls off. Is it possible to push the snow opposite of the driveway for Lot 1?
Yeah, we actually show an area, but it only shows up on sheet number 5.
Okay, then I probably missed it if it's only
Yeah.
on sheet 5.
I'll make sure they put it on the other sheets
Okay.
in the next submissions.
Thanks. Yep. Just a reminder, comment 3, your ordinance requires demonstrating well capacity, and I believe the intent is to test the existing well for the house that's there, use those results to demonstrate that there's suitable capacity there for the project. Fourth comment, I'm not sure where we're at with SECRA on this. That's just something we'll have to follow up with.
I think at this point, did the circulation, we have to at some point do a neg deck so we can open the public hearing. So I think that's where things are, and we will do that, I think, after we get sorted out the road, if it's going to get attached to the other parcel.
Okay.
And whatever else has to be done, yeah, in terms of engineering.
A tree survey and tree plan was included with the plan set. That's been forwarded on to your landscape consultant for review. I don't believe that has come back yet, but I'll follow up on that. And then just the last comment, 6, a minor item. We have an updated approval block. If you don't have a copy of that, I can forward it to you
Okay.
to insert.
Thank you.
I was looking at this today and looking at it with Matt, and one of the questions I have and need more understanding of are the building height calculations. And in doing so, we were looking at the definitions. I don't know if Matt spoke to you about this, but the town regulates both stories and height. And if you look at the definitions in the zoning, it defines for purposes of zoning a cellar and a basement. And cellar is your typical, it's mostly underground, and the basement is where it's mostly, actually, it's not even, it defines basement as not mostly underground, but it also calls it a story.
Correct.
So the question is, there was somewhere on one of the sheets that it says there's a basement, a first floor, and a second floor. That would be 3 stories, and we're allowed 2.5. So I would like you to look at that
Okay.
and see whether adjustments have to be made to fit within the 2.5 story.
Okay.
That was done with intent back in 2017 because the town didn't want these big pop-up houses, kind of where they push the dirt up to the buildings, and it's actually like 3 stories. So that was the intent. So if you could take a look at that.
Yep.
And then I think, Matt, we had talked about maybe if they could somehow show the corners, A, B, C, and D, or somehow diagrammatically show us where those measurements were taken from.
Right,
when the
that-
building height was done.
That would help in reviewing the building height calculation.
Yeah.
You provide the 4 measurements, it's just a little tricky to figure out which side of the dwelling each one is at.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to hop out for a minute. Jeff, if you want to poll the board if there's any additional comments?
Sure. Okay, Dylan, any questions, comments?
None for me, thank you.
Lou?
No comment.
Bob? I guess my question in relation to the conversation about the stormwater, so I understand the point about if the road was already included in the calculations for Smith Farm, then the stormwater retention may not need to be as great, but between what's existing on the property and what's proposed on the grading, it seems like it's still going to be significantly downhill, and I am kind of curious about what's going to ultimately be needed to protect the properties down below. Do you have a sense of that already from, assuming that the road was already considered as part of the Smith Farm, how much of a reduction of the stormwater do you off the top of your head? I know this is I know there's a lot of calculations that go into that.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin to guess.
To speculate.
Honestly, if they did take into account the road, I'm not sure if, there may be other things that they didn't take into account, like the existing structure that's there. It may have just been a quick, clean drainage calculation to get it sized and
Okay.
designed. I'll go through those calculations and I'll have a better
So it could
answer.
potentially be somewhat significant in what's reduced and still be effective.
It could probably be reduced down 25%.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting piece of property. And I definitely get how you're proposing to work with it. I was just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Especially uphill.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been out there, so I mean, I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with what the existing conditions are, what's going on across the street and in the neighborhood.
Yeah. That's the best place to watch the Monroe fireworks, up at that cul-de-sac and
Oh, is that right?
circle. Yep.
Important tip, thank you. Bonnie?
That's where I am every year.
My comments were just on the building height at this point. Did anybody else? No?
I just had a question, in relation to stormwater changes, possible changes. That's that. Other than
That's good?
So
Great.
we'll make a new submission, we'll get these revisions addressed and
Yep.
get back in.
Hopefully, we'll have Karen's comments also, so that if, maybe we can see where she is with that. and
Okay,
she
I'll
could
follow
get it
up.
to you so that you can have that for the next submission.
Okay, do you think
don't
next
have to get
submission
another
we'd be able to schedule a public hearing for the project, or?
We may be able to. I would like to check with Ashley. We'd have to see if we're good enough with the neg deck. I think the other thing that's always a little complicating with this project is that when we attach it to Smith Farm, I don't know if we have to consult with the village too. That's always been part of this mix, if you recall.
Yes.
So I think I just want to be able to speak to Ashley, and Ashley has spoken to the village's attorney
Okay.
to see where things are, so that's,
Should I make a submission to the village or CC the village on this next submission so they see what you're
think-
looking at?
I think that'd be useful. I would definitely, if you're going to send it to the village, send it to the village board, CC the attorney,
Okay.
and, just say at the planning board's request, so they're in the know.
Perfect.
And I can also reach out to the village's attorney and let her know
Excellent.
as well, okay?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right. Next item on the agenda, short and sweet. Maybe it'll be short and sweet.
Sorry, you're done. No. That was short and
That was
sweet.
short and sweet.
It would be a first for me. We're here for Eagles View, and I wanted
You're not nice.
Hello, everyone.
All right, you want to give,
Sure. Well, we're back because the previous tenant, Foreign Objects, who actually was before this board several years ago to get approval on that project, is no longer there. They've been out for approximately a year, and there's a new tenant, Short and Sweet LLC. Actually, the owner's right in the back there, and she would like to operate out of that place to produce and bake cupcakes and pastries and things of that nature for not only for the neighborhood, but also to attract other vendors. In fact, usually you ask for a description of the operations of a corporation, and we're very short and sweet about it. We say 2 sentences. She actually wrote a fantastic summary of the business, and if I could take maybe a minute and a half, I'd like to share with you because I thought
think
it was
it's
that well.
it's important because we have questions about it, so this will be good.
Short and Sweet is a 2-year-old Hudson Valley-based commissary bakery specializing in award-winning small batch handcrafted cupcakes and other sweet treats. We are passionate about crafting high-quality baked goods using locally sourced ingredients, traditional methods, and innovative techniques. Not only do our cupcakes look good and taste good, they do good too. A portion of proceeds from every cupcake sold is donated to a local food pantry that feeds hot meals and provides groceries to hundreds of food insecure families monthly. We intend to use the space at 150 West Monbassia Road in Monroe as a haven for anyone with a sweet tooth. Beyond a simple pickup spot, we would like to create a cozy and welcoming environment where you can sit down and savor our freshly baked goods and sweet treats. We envision the space to be a one-stop destination for all things party-related, curating a delightful selection of party goods from candles and balloons to unique gifts crafted by local vendors. This allows our customers to effortlessly find everything they need for a special occasion in a single convenient space while supporting the community. For the convenience of the community, we would also carry basic pantry essentials such as milk, bread, and eggs. Beyond our core purpose, we also envision the space as a vibrant hub for the community. Our goal is to create more than just a business. We want to build a welcoming gathering space where neighbors can connect, learn, and celebrate. We plan to host a variety of events that enrich the neighborhood, such as local artisan workshops, seasonal holiday gatherings, a daily food truck, and collaborative pop-ups with other small businesses. By opening our doors for these occasions, we hope to foster stronger connections and contribute to the lively spirit of the community. I think we get approval based on that description alone. So,
I'm going to go to Matt's
let me-
comments.
I just want to bring the board's attention to just a few other items. We're not proposing any change to the footprint of the building at all, so no additions, no renovations on the exterior. The improvements that were conditioned on Foreign Objects, the previous tenant, have been performed. They're on site. We're not proposing any changes to those either, those improvements. The trees in the back, the parking, the ADA, accessibility, and things of that nature. The new use is consistent with the previous use, so we feel that that requirement under the zoning code for restaurants or retail is similar, and the parking requirements would remain the same, and the spatial requirements. So based on those, that criterion, I think the project is seamless in its transition and perhaps would qualify for a type 2 action by the board. Don't feel like an enhanced seeker process would be necessary.
Okay. Sure. Comment 1, I think, was just discussed. In reviewing this, I wasn't sure what the proposed use was, or what the intent of the building use was, so I think the explanation there provides you with a good description of what they're proposing to do at the site. Comment 2, the cover letter referenced an outdoor space for events. I didn't see anything noted on the plans for that. What kind of events, or what would that entail?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, let's talk about that. In the back of the property, there's approximately 3,000 square feet of grass area. And the owner would like to just use that space as it's currently used for intimate settings. There's park benches, tables back there where they would just have special events for a vendor that they could serve pastries or cupcakes or whatever other vendor would be associated with her, and invite people to sit back there and enjoy the atmosphere and enjoy the food that would be prepared and served to them. So we would limit the space, limit the occupants that would be able to occupy that space. If we wanted to talk about it further, you have 3,000 square feet of grass area. Even if we allocated 50 to 100 square feet per occupant, we're looking at, say, 30 to a maximum, maybe 50, 60 people on an occasion to be there. Obviously, the winter and fall months would be difficult, but perhaps 6 months out of the year, once a month, she could have a special event there. The 13 spaces that are provided would not accommodate that amount of people, so we would have to look at that further. But it is something that is not mandatory. It's more important that she open up and start activities, made application to the different entities that would be needed. So if that's something that the board would not feel comfortable with, it's something we could revisit.
Is this, because of what I'm not getting, is this going to be an eat-in facility? People come in, have coffee and pastries type of thing?
If you could come up, just so we could get you in the microphone. Otherwise, it may not pick up for the minutes. Thank you.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So that's the reason why I wanted to have a possible food vendor outside, because it really isn't going to be a space for people to come and sit in, because I'd like to have other vendors with like their items on the shelves for people to, kind of walk around and shop. So yes and no. Like, I may have a table, but it's really, I'm still trying to figure out the space and what would be allowed based on what the planning board says.
So we have a lot of thoughts on this, but I'll let Matt continue through his tech review, and then we're going to open it up because there's a question in general about the use itself.
Okay.
So let's kind of get through the
Okay.
tech part of it, and then we'll
So I think
Expand
my comments 3, 4, and 5 can kind of be incorporated into one discussion. There's a space shown for an outdoor vendor location that is about 5 foot by 10 foot. I don't know that that would fit a food truck, so not really sure what type of outdoor vendor is proposed there. And then the right-of-way for West Mombasha, kind of where the county right-of-way line is there. If you're proposing something within the county right-of-way, we may need to send that to them for their review and consideration. So just kind of wanted to clarify what the outdoor vendor, what you had in mind for that, or what you're proposing for that.
It would be a food truck associated with the business, or an associated business similar to what Short and Sweet is, with cupcakes or pastries or food or breakfast items. If you can envision a crafts fair, I think Erica's proposing maybe a 10-foot by 10-foot tent with the food vendor underneath it to attract business or to be comfortable with neighbors.
Vendor, are you talking about baked goods food vendors or other kinds of foods?
So I'm talking about, like, for example, a food truck that does coffee and like breakfast sandwiches, something in the morning that, you know, the passersby can maybe grab on their way to work.
So your vendor specifically, you're talking about the food truck when you say vendor? You're not talking about it within the space?
So within the space, those vendors would be like people who make handmade candles or honey or body lotions, sourdough bread. Like those would be vendors who are inside, but they're not going to be there. They're just going to be renting like a shelf space.
And so are you baking on the premises?
Yes, I will be baking on the premises.
Okay. All right.
So are you have, like, let's say, for example, obviously it's going to happen during the summertime, right? So you're going to have a DJ back there, you're going to have music, are you going to have events going on? Is it what, I'm just trying to clarify, I think everybody's trying to clarify what it is that you're going to do in this
So the
3,000 square foot space.
Right, so for the outdoor space, I would like to be able to use it, like, for example, if someone wants to have like an intimate baby shower, to be able to rent out the space for that nature, or if I had a vendor event where I had a couple of vendors in the back and, you know, people would come and shop, those vendors. In regards to the daily vendor, that would be like outside, it would be someone who's selling like coffee or breakfast sandwiches in the morning, and then a separate vendor in the afternoon who would be selling like savory foods.
So I was trying to get you get through your tech comments.
That's okay.
And then because we're going to dive into this because there's some questions about what's allowed.
Yep, so like I said, comments 3, 4, and 5 pertain to what the outdoor vendor space is and where it is in regards to setbacks and stuff. Comment 6, I think food vending is also covered under Chapter 35 in the Town Code. So I would review those requirements with the building inspector and kind of go through them, make sure there aren't any issues with that. And then also, as I said, it looked like the outdoor or the vending use shown on the front would be located within the front and side yards. Just review that and make sure that's not an issue as well.
Before we go into your deep dive on the use, I do have one question for Matt, because we use the setback lines as consistent with what we did with the previous application and was approved.
Okay.
You're bringing up that comment just for verification, or
Correct.
we did something that
Nope,
needs
just
to be corrected?
to verify that, yeah.
Okay, then we're comfortable with the setback lines. Okay.
So I brought up the foreign objects resolution because we specifically previously said no outdoor seating, outdoor events, or other use of outdoor space is approved. And if it were to be expanded, it require amended site plan approval. So the context of this, there's two aspects. One, you're in a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood. So people around were concerned about the noise and who's going to be hanging out there at the time that it was proposed. But here's the more complicating factor. This is in a zoning district that doesn't allow restaurants or taverns or what you want to do. It's in a residential zone. The
It's
reason,
neighborhood business.
is it neighborhood business? I thought it was SR.
No, it's a neighborhood business.
You sure? Okay.
It's neighborhood business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that, but I was just looking at the map today. Let's look at it again. Let's look at it together.
Yeah, we looked, well,
I want to make sure that it's in the right zone. Because you're off of Monbassia, right?
yes.
Over by the lake.
Yeah,
Well,
but
the
close,
reservoir.
but right across the street from the fire department.
That's down in here, right? Okay, so you're the little piece here. It's hard to make out. So it's this little green area?
Yeah,
Okay, neighborhood.
yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure that you were in SR10 because that would have complicated things. All right, your neighborhood business. Okay. It's really hard to make out. It's like surrounded by that SR10 area. But you see how they're like little tiny green areas on the map? At the scale, it's a little hard to make out. It's right here. It's these two little tiny parcels, and those showing up as green. Okay. All right, so that's number one. So my concern was whether you were even allowed, but if you're an NB, I think you're okay. Although we can always check with Ben.
We did the zoning code review.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, we feel comfortable with that.
So why don't you start, because you started to question what's going on there, and you can continue your thought process.
So if it's, is this kind of, the question is this allowed in that zone? NB, is that allowed? That's the first question, and we have to address. So the amount of people that are going to be there, hours of operation, and it's just in general, it just sounds like we need more information. Like we need to find out more, like what is actually going to happen there. Are you going to set up tables? Are you going to have chairs? Are you going to have, like I said, is there going to be some kind of music being played?
So let's be site-specific. Are we talking inside the building or outside?
I'm talking specifically on the outside.
Okay,
Because
well-
the inside of the building is confined, and that was
Yes.
already existing, and that's just, you're just taking over the business, right? Or the existing space,
Yeah, the space.
right? So now now we're going from the existing space, and now you want to go outside, right? So what, is that legal? Can you do that? Can, and not disturb the neighborhood, and the people in the neighborhood, that's all.
Absolutely. So let's answer that, very, very specifically. On the site plan, as Matt brought out, we show an outdoor vendor space that she would like to have. I do not believe it's in the right-of-way. It is within the setback, so Matt had asked us to get a building department determination on locating that within the front and side yard. As Erica mentioned, it would be set up there in the morning for breakfast things, coffee, whatever, bagel, roll, something like that. Then in the afternoon, perhaps it would be logical to change vendor, if one is available, to satisfy or service the neighborhood with, as she mentioned, creams or candles or, things of that nature. But again, that outside space would be one vendor underneath that tent in the front of the building. So, let's put that one, let's make everyone feel comfortable about that first. And then we could go to the backside of
Yeah, I think it's good to talk to Ben about that, because there's an operating permit associated with it, there's regulations for it, and the regulations get very detailed in terms of who can operate, whether they have some kind of history. I mean, it gets,
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at that section, in fact, until today.
Right.
Hadn't been confronted by it. So I don't know how that interfaces with the zoning in terms of food trucks and where they're allowed. So I think that requires some input from the building inspector in terms of what he's allowed. And does it have to explicitly be stated in the zoning, or is it just understood that they're allowed in certain sections of the town? I don't know from the regulation, so I think we just have to find out from Ben.
Which regulation are you talking about in addition to Chapter 35?
So it was under actually like the building code or building section, because it talked about an operating permit.
New York State Building Code? Or-
No, actually, I'll bring it up, hold on, because I did a search earlier. It's in a couple of sections. So it's under peddling and solicitation, so that's chapter 35, right?
35, yep.
And then it's under chapter 23, so building construction administration. And it talks about needing an operating permit. And then it says, for mobile food preparation vehicles, you have to meet some requirement of fire code of New York State. So check chapter 23 too.
So, I mean, that's not a problem. We can condition the site plan or approval. I mean, I know it's a little bit,
You have to
Yes,
have a
but-
vending?
No,
Okay.
these are just ideas that I had for the space.
Okay.
And so I wanted to know what is actually allowed.
Okay.
Basically. So if it's a no, then I'd say, okay, well,
Okay.
I won't do that. But these are just things that I've envisioned for the space.
Okay.
And
So-
also, not to take anything away from the neighborhood, but to actually add to the neighborhood. So, not, loud parties in the back. Like, these are events that I want the neighborhood to be invited to. So like vendor events and things of that nature. These are invites for the actual neighborhood.
So, as I showed earlier, at least for foreign objects, because that involved, it was a tavern, outdoor, drinking, et cetera, they weren't immediately allowed events. And I think it could have been just simply, let's get the use in there and then see how it operates and if it's okay with the neighborhood, and then, we could consider opening it up. I'm not saying that has to be the situation here, but that's going to be a concern for certain, is how it affects the neighborhood. So inside, so it might be useful at some point to just get a determination from Ben, this is retail, or this is XYZ. For him to make that determination, it'd be useful to understand, like, is the bakery part of it going to constitute 50% of the total area, 70%? Like, how much of it is bakery? Are you baking for just on-site consumption? Or are you going to be packaging things and delivering it to other places? Because that would be a different, almost, kind of operation. So I think we're just trying to understand, again, with more detail, what you envision. Like, do you need a box truck? Do you, sort of, how would this operate?
No, I don't need a box truck.
Okay.
Actually, my cupcakes are small batch and handcrafted, so this is not going to be a large operation. As of right now, how I operate is I go to vendor events where I'm a vendor. So usually, I'm not bringing any more than, let's just say, 280 cupcakes. So everything that can fit in my car, my SUV, that's what I'm taking. So this is not going to be a large operation. I'm going to continue on with the small batch because that's, what I do. That's what I make, so.
How much space do you need? So are you going to have, right now, there's seating in there, I envision, from foreign objects, right?
There are no tables or chairs in there currently. It's just an open space.
Okay.
There can be, but as of right now, that's not really what I'm envisioning so far. I'd like it to be more of a space, like, picture like an upscale party city where you can come and you can pick up cupcakes if you're having an event at home, along with balloons, greeting cards that are made by a local vendor, maybe, some candles, honey, sourdough bread, all things that you would, possibly get from a party city, but also perhaps like a ShopRite kind of thing, but not really a ShopRite, like a small shopping store where you can just come and pick up things that you may need for home, or like if you want to get something sweet. So really to support local vendors as well.
Or cook or anything? It's just purely you'll be baking on the premises, doing
Yes.
baking items, and then sale of goods that are already pre-made somewhere else, and you're just selling them retail?
Correct.
You're not making anything else besides baking?
No.
Okay. I don't know if does anybody else?
I do. Looking in the zoning table, you're basing the calculation of parking spaces and basically saying it's a continuation of the previous use. It sounds more, it doesn't sound so much restaurant tavern to me, and that's what the calculation was based on. So again, I think it's important to clarify with Ben the use, and then make sure that we have the parking that is required to support that. I also see there's an asterisk note, upgrade and improvement of the existing parking layout, and I'm just wondering, David, it's been a while since we looked at foreign objects. If you could just mention where the upgrades and improvements are that we're seeing on the new plan?
It was along the front. It was the striping of the spaces, the designation of the ADA parking and the striping of that, the ADA sign.
Okay. It's not changing, you're not changing the number of spaces or where any of the spaces are located. It's just making it look better and more distinct and that sort of thing. I assume.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the neighborhood business zone has permitted uses associated with it. I mean, the one closest to this would be restaurant. And based on that calculation, we satisfy the area of parking based on the area of the building. And I think that would suffice.
Would like to see that clarified with the building inspector, that based on the narrative, that he continues to view this as restaurant tavern and that the parking calculation will be based on the same. I thought you mentioned in your discussion, in your overview, that there are some tables or benches, indoor benches out back currently?
Yes, there are some picnic tables and benches in the back.
Those were not there when foreign objects came.
Apparently, they did use them. There were events that were held in the back.
Okay, because clearly they never came back to us for that approval, and it was part of the original approval that they would need to do that. So,
If they may be there, that doesn't mean
Right.
that they
So-
were approved to do whatever they were doing back
So
there.
in my mind, that's not a pre-existing condition, and it's something we really need to examine specifically that, to see if that could continue or be enhanced.
We're not asking that it be a pre-existing non-conforming condition. We're proposing this project as new for Erica and how she would like to use it. Way foreign objects used, the site and the building is different. We're just trying to classify it per the zoning code. Again, their use in the back apparently was expanded and extended. Her intent is not to do so. It's to be intimate and to enjoy freshly baked cupcakes. I mean, who are you going to see there? You see Jeff, me, and Matt there. That will be the first ones, so, right?
You know me so well.
So, question, do you have to use the outside to make it work for you? Or could you start indoors and then once
Oh, I
that's
can
up?
start indoors.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's not something that would have
No.
to be done immediately?
No.
I'm just trying to understand your business model to see what you absolutely need first, and what are the basic activities that you're going to do there as part of the use. Thank you. Any comments, Bob, questions?
It's a bakery that's going to offer some limited grocery items to a degree, right? That's what I understand.
Correct.
So milk, eggs, but for a snowstorm, I guess, and and bread. Yeah, that's it. I don't have any, but it's great. I welcome you. Obviously,
Thank you so
we need
much.
more businesses in this area, so
Thank you.
it's a blessing.
I do. I am a close neighbor, and I have a crazy sweet tooth on my long commute homes. And I drive by it every day.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
My concern is foreign objects was not allowed to cook. And I don't know why.
I seem to remember that as well.
Yeah, because
That-
they could do prepared
They could do,
foods and like
like
munchies.
munchies,
Yeah.
prepared snack bags, but not, there was an
Don't know
issue
why.
around
Did-
cooking, which is kind of odd because, yes, as
Yeah,
Bob
I
noted, it
remember
was
this.
previously a restaurant in that location, but that was an issue with the application for foreign objects.
We had food trucks occasionally, temporarily, every once in a while, but not inside during normal service hours, and I don't know why. I remember having a discussion with the owner, just as guy to guy, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I think the whole point with the food trucks is it something that you get an operating permit to come and go, but not something that's an actual always there kind of a situation.
Okay,
But that, again, that's something to talk to the building inspector about.
okay.
My concern was understanding why that was, to try to set you up for success and maybe mitigate before it comes to a
Because I do feel like that was something that came forward from the building inspector.
Yes.
So I would revisit that with Ben as well when you're clarifying things.
Well, yeah, I mean, Foreign Objects was intent on bringing in their ingredients to create beer and mix it and to send it forth. Their purpose was not cooking of food. They were bringing in snacks or, edibles that.
But at one
have
point in the
along with
process,
beer.
they proposed that as a supplemental to
Correct.
their thing, to
Correct.
do some food preparation on
Oh, they
site.
came in with a subsequent application?
It was part of what was bandied about in the original application at one point.
Because we,
It's a decently equipped kitchen, you can
Oh, yeah.
do a lot of things in there, not in use. And
Not what?
and it was never used, and I don't know why. They wanted to, for supplemental income. They did not brew on site. They brought up from alternate locations and put it on tap. That was it. So I want to understand that better for yourselves and set you up for success.
no, we appreciate that. The existing kitchen has an Ansel system above the oven. It is prepped, it has the hand sink and separate sink. In fact, we feel comfortable with allowing it to be used as a commercial kitchen. But we would make that part of this application. And again, we'll make presentation to Ben and get his interpretation. And that's my next question. Can we go ahead and do that, or are you going to refer it?
What we normally do, I think Matt can have a communication with Ben.
Okay.
It would be useful, while I appreciate the narrative that you have, if you could put a narrative together that's more explanatory of what you would do and about how much space you envision. Like, again, 50% for the baking, is there 50% for retail? It was interesting when you said baking with, also pick up some milk. I pictured Auntie L's a little bit. Now, Auntie L's is a farmer's market, but when you go in there, you have the baked goods area, right? Then they have some vegetables on the side, and then they have a cooler for, a refrigerator for milk, and you can pick up some stuff. So it reminds me a little tiny bit of a mini Auntie L's, for those of you who've been down there in Salzburg.
I mean, I just wanted to comment, I think what you're talking about for this space is closer in my mind to what's appropriate for a neighborhood business and would fit that type of zoning than anything that's been there in quite some time. I used to frequent the place when it was a restaurant. It was a nice little restaurant. It was a tough space for that. I mean, I was in Foreign Objects a couple of times, but when I was a kid, it was a neighborhood market like this. Yeah, they weren't baking on site, but we used to ride our bikes up there from way down the hill and go in there, and you could pick up some stuff, and it, supported
Candy and chips.
the
Yeah.
lakeside area and the people coming, in and around there, and kids who were a little more adventurous like we were, and that truly, in my mind, is where this building and this space would shine. So. I like the concept. We just have to make sure that we're doing it in the way that it's permitted.
Okay, so
So I'll reach out to Ben.
Get a narrative with more in terms of how the space is going to be used internally.
we could provide a plan.
Yeah, just
And-
again, and it doesn't have to be super detailed architectural, it's just to say like 50% or 30,
floor
something.
layout,
Yeah, are you going to have seating, you're not going to have seating? Because it really doesn't sound like you're a restaurant tavern, it sounds like
No.
you're retail. So, yeah.
All right, so we'll reach out to Ben, set something up where we can have a discussion, hash out a couple of these questions about the use, what's permitted, the setbacks, things like that, so that next time they appear, we'll have those answers for you.
Before that, so we can submit.
In between.
Let's clarify
Matt,
that.
you'll
Matt,
get something to Matt. Matt will communicate with Ben. We'll ask for a determination from Ben so that you can have
in
that to
time
move forward. Yes.
For us to submit,
Yes.
per the schedule.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine, that's great.
All right. Well, just do what you have to do, and we're going to keep moving it forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Figure it out. Thank you, Noreen.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Sir, were you here for foreign objects, or for that building, or you're here for something else, or just listening? Were you here for a particular application?
No, I spoke with Tony a few weeks back, I believe, in October, in regards to a building permit for a section block and lot number in the Mambasha area. And he said, write a letter.
Oh, sorry, why don't you come on up? I'm sorry. I forget that we need that for the minutes. We don't normally just take public comment, but you've been patiently sitting there and,
Yeah, so I don't always know how these things work. I've never actually got to sit in before, but
Oh, okay.
it was kind of enjoyable, and I've learned a lot.
see that, Dave? These are enjoyable meetings.
Yeah, not bad.
Would be better with a cupcake.
Yeah.
I like that. She's on to something there. My kids are going to love that.
Yeah.
If it comes to fruition. So anyhow, my name is Robert, born and raised in Monroe, grew up in Lake Sapphire, graduated Monroe Woodbury in '04. I run a successful business in town. I am building my first custom home for myself and my family in the Mambasha area. And it's been a venture. Purchased the property a few years ago. Just kind of been waiting around maybe for costs to come down and things of that nature. Applied for a building permit, received that. We've been working on the property for basically a year and a half now. It's a 17-acre parcel, so it's, tucked off the road. Framing is complete, roof is on, windows. It's really coming along nicely. Get lots of compliments on it. However, I did not realize that a building permit expires. I'm not a home builder. I'm not, building this to sell and make money. I'm building it to move in. So I paid, and a lot of moving parts, right? And it's something that I totally should have realized, that the building permit has an expiration date right on it. But silly me, thinking, you purchase a building permit, you're good to go. So when I started thinking about it, I'm going, well, why would they give you a deadline for just a year? I'm like, how do you even build a house in a year? So I'm GCing the home myself to save costs, obviously, and I'm in the trades, and I know a lot of individuals making connections my whole life and things like that. And I have enough know-abouts in terms of the trade, maybe not, county road permits and, building permits. So essentially, I was applying for my inspections, rather, for, my plumbing, framing, HVAC, electrical. And at that point, I realized when I submitted the building permit to my electrician, he was like, hey, that's expired. And I'm like, what do you mean? So, I jumped through the hoops, and basically I found out, as you all know, that there's an extension you can, put on there. I believe it's up to 6 months, and then you'd have to pay again for this building permit. Well, I was already over the 6 months, obviously. Basically I kind of called down and tried to plead my case a little bit, going, hey, it's another $6,200. It's a lot of money. I have 2 kids under 3 years old. We're building a home. Obviously, we've had some setbacks, weather, the lot is rocky, shortage of materials, supply, and things are just so expensive. It's just, sometimes I'm like, boy, this was a bad idea. But anyhow, I sent an email underneath, my friend Tony Cardone's advice to say, hey, write an email to the planning board, kind of just stating your case of, how you kind of fell into this, and I took it upon maybe a little bit of background of myself and such, and he said that they can review that at the planning board. Now, maybe I may have not submitted that correctly.
Well, I think So I'm trying to understand, we don't deal with building permits. Yeah, it's just the building inspector.
By us.
Yeah, so I think we have to explore why there's a belief that you have to come in front of the planning board. Maybe there's something more to it. So I would suggest that you reach out to Noreen.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah, you have some
I'm
insight?
already well aware of
Hi,
the
Noreen.
email. Hi, how are you? Jennifer sent me the email that he had sent
Okay,
and requested to know when our next planning board meeting was.
okay.
So she gave him the date of the planning board meeting, and it had no information for me. I said, well, is there an email or something that he's referring to so that I could prepare the board? And she sent me the email, and from what I read in the email, you're looking for a refund or something on the second extension on the building permit.
Yes.
So I was like, why are you sending this to the planning board? We don't deal with permits. That's building inspector. So I went to Ben, and Ben said that is strictly building department. It is in the town code that if a permit expires, you have to get a new permit and you have to pay the fee. I don't understand, I didn't know you had spoken to Tony. Nobody mentioned that to me. But I have been told by Ben it is a building department issue and a town board issue that they would have to go
Yeah, I
back to the
think-
code. It has nothing to do with the planning board.
I think that the town board, so we definitely don't deal with building permits. The only thing I was thinking is if you were part of a subdivision
No.
and somehow it roped us into the process, but I think it's a building department issue. Now, whether the town board can waive certain fees, I mean, it's the town board's fees.
Right, they're the ones who did the code, they're the
Yeah.
ones who set the fees.
And we've had
Ben went
applicants-
by what the town board had put in the code. So Ben, when I left it with Ben, and I was under the assumption, which maybe I shouldn't have assumed, that either he was or Jen was reaching out to you to say it was nothing to do with the planning board. So I didn't respond to you because it was kind of taken out of my hands by saying it was the building department and the town board. So I was like, okay,
Well, so we appreciate you being here.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, nice to meet you all.
Sat here.
Well, the date came up quick, for one, and two, I was almost 100% sure when I stood outside of the building department entrance or exit, and I called Tony on his cell phone. He said, he gave me, is it Jennifer?
Jennifer's his secretary, yes.
He gave me her email address and said to write an email to her, and I could have sworn he said, about the planning board.
I
To come
think-
sit in front of it, talk about it, maybe they could do something for you, and,
I guess the
you know.
only other potential, I don't know if you can appeal,
That appeal would have to go to the town board, not the
Well,
planning board.
or
Which
I
that
don't-
makes
I don't know
sense.
if even the appeal would go to the ZBA. I don't think so. I don't know.
No, because
So
I don't think they appeal the town code.
I
Why
don't
it
know.
would come to you if you've never seen it before.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Say
I
that
don't, I
again?
don't think you're supposed to be with us.
And I
think the
apologize,
question-
I should have responded, but
It
they
may
were
be-
taking it over.
Yeah, it may be that you are with a board, just not ours. So I'll talk to Tony as well
I
and
knew
see.
something was wrong anyhow when I first walked in and I saw the board with, some names, and I said, well, I don't believe that I
Okay.
got that far in terms of, hey, can we get on the
Agenda. Okay,
So,
well, thank you.
so to end
Good
this,
luck.
maybe reach out to the town or
just-
the town board, or?
I will have a conversation with Tony and then,
I'll mention to Ben that you were here
yeah.
tonight. I'll see him in
Yeah.
the morning.
and
Oh,
then
I'm sure
someone will
I'm-
reach out to you.
I know he's just going to resort back to what it says,
Well,
but I know Ben enough by now. I've known him a long time. But
so we'll do a little research just to find out
Okay.
if
Fair
there's
enough.
if there's a different process. There may not be. Okay?
all good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Have a good evening.
I think we had on the agenda, we need to go through the 53, 54 revision. Matt, you looked at that a little bit?
Yeah, so the town code has two chapters in that pertain to potable water systems. There's Chapter 53, which are the water rules and regulations, and then Chapter 54, which is water systems communal. Also, in your subdivision ordinance, there is a section 11 that talks about communal water systems as well. So there's been a little bit of confusion with previous projects because there's some overlap, or there was some overlap between chapters 53 and 54 when it came to some of the in there. So the revisions that have been prepared, I think discussed with the town board, the town attorney, kind of tried to separate those chapters and eliminate some of the overlap. So basically, Chapter 53, as presented now, deals with water system itself, and then kind of the specifics for it. For example, there's an article in there that pertains to fire hydrants, what they're to consist of, the town water department, their regulation of those, and then section on the water distribution system that gives the specifications for what those materials and stuff, what it's made out of, what that needs to consist of, what's allowable in a water system that's intended to be dedicated and provided to the town, and then what's allowable in a water system that's intended to be privately owned and maintained by, say, an HOA or a developer. Those are the primary revisions to those. And then Chapter 54 on the communal water systems has been updated to include some references about potential future dedication to the town, how long that time frame would take, and what that involves, and again clarifies that the town is not under any obligation to take it at any point. So, the revisions to it, clarifications to try to clean up some overlap to it. Yep.
So I just brought up quick the subdivision regulations. So there's a section A6531 dealing with water systems. So I think the whole intent, as you're saying, is we already have chapters dealing with our water infrastructure.
Correct.
Whether it's private or whether it's public.
Yep.
And then we also have these standards in the subdivision regulations. And so the idea is to take them out of the subdivision regulations and put them in the chapters that deal with water infrastructure so there isn't any inconsistency. My one suggestion was don't get rid of the section dealing with water systems, and in that case also, let's say if they decide to have a separate section for sewers, same thing, leave that little section in the subdivision regulations and just say, for water systems, you have to adhere to the regulations in Chapter 53 or Chapter 54. So just leave a reference in the subdivision regulations to where you can find it to remind us all there's a different chapter that we have to look at still when it comes to subdivisions that come in that may have infrastructure.
Okay.
So that's my section, but Mary had sent me like the specs that they're going to be adding. It's all engineering related. For me, it's best for the engineers to address it. I just wanted to make sure that it was, again, that there was a reference so that we don't forget where the standards are. So.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. And in fact, I'm not sure, like, when there are zoning amendments, they have to be referred to the planning board. These were referred to us, although these are in the subdivision regulations that they're taking out of. And I don't actually know that that really required a referral, but I appreciate that the board sent it to us since it affects subdivision regulations.
That was my understanding, was that they wanted to refer that here just so everybody was aware of it and had an opportunity to make any comments.
So, our engineers, because McGoey, Hauser, and Edsel was looking at it for the town too, right?
Correct. I think as part of some of the meetings that have been held with the water department, water meetings, I think, to go over projects specific to that. This has been going on for several months, I think. The discussions with the supervisor, and I think Mary's been heavily involved in it, and perhaps some other people. From my firm's end, I haven't participated in those, but I talked with Dave Fritz and Quinn Malarkey the last several days over what those revisions were and kind of the process that got us to here.
Do you have any? I did not have a chance to go through the minute. The only ones I did were November 5th. That was a special meeting. We had the regular board members there. I will explain to you what happened. It was very
That's
short
fine.
and sweet. And it was the day after election, so I think you probably appreciate that you were roped into anything. So Dylan, Jeff, and myself were present. These were amended. May I have a motion to approve the November 5th, 2025 minutes?
So moved.
Dylan?
Second.
Bonnie Franson,
Aye.
Jeff Manson,
Aye.
Dylan Penn,
Aye.
Bob Garstack,
No. He wasn't here.
then he has to
here.
abstain.
Oh, abstain, okay, sorry.
Staying?
Sorry.
Lou Rivera,
Abstain.
thank you.
We have to abstain.
Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. May I have a
Second?
Noreen? Well, all in favor, say aye.
What happened to all in favor?
I'm like off my game tonight.